Hi folks, we're looking at number 11 in Mr. Nathan Ost's 21 Lip Flexibilities. This is the first volume. I'm doing a couple episodes this morning before the next client comes. And so I'm up to number 11 now, and this is a little bit different. It's got a bigger beat. Let's see what the tempo he suggests is. I'm going to take this down to 60. But that's a 60 to the dotted quarter note in 6/8. I'm going to go ahead and play it on C trumpet. So one of the first things I do is I want to hear what I'm doing. And what I really like about these is you just see I played 2 bars and I played exactly the same thing. So that gives me the opportunity to get into a groove. Then something changes. And what's interesting about this particular one is there's not a lot going on except continuous 16th notes, which is an interesting musical kind of texture. It's mainly the harmony. Listen to the next harmony. And then there's a change. I'm going to play that again a little bit under tempo. Then it changes harmony again. Here's the next harmony. Okay, good. So I have 4 beats in a row that are the same figure. Now this gives me time to observe how well I'm actually playing. And I do that in 2 primary ways. One is I'm listening. And this is where most people fall short, and I feel like I can, until I'm not on the earth anymore, I think I can learn to listen better. It's a constant ongoing thing. I want to let you know what I did. You might have been able to hear it. I'm going to play it one way, and then I'm going to work my way back to where I just was. What I did was I let my body find the horn so that I was playing in cooperation with where it wants to vibrate. Now we're not working about the perfectly intoned interval relationships right now. To me that's key and a critical thing to work on in your playing. But it can make you really tight when you're trying to play everything in tune. Those of you who have worked once with a tuner already know this. The tuner can be an absolute instrument of torture and get you to the point where you're not really playing very well anymore. So playing well is easy sound production. So I'm looking for that. Now I'm going to play that figure again. Now that's not bad. What I did is I kind of tightened up a little bit, grabbed a hold of the air with my aperture, with my lips, and that allows me to have a feeling of security. But if I slow it down and listen, that note is tight and dull. Why? Because I'm pinching it with my lips. So what I'm looking for is how easy can the flow be? How easily can the aperture come into focus? How free and coherent is the resonance? That's what I'm listening for. So now I'm going to let my ear guide the process. That allows me to go much faster because now instead of putting on the brakes all the time on every note, trying to hold on to it, then release it and go to the next note, I'm doing a smooth flow through the notes, between the notes. And that's the key to all these flexibility exercises. Any kind of flexibility, any kind of good playing on the trumpet. Now, I don't know if that was a good demonstration for you. I might buzz it. So if I can buzz that with exactly the same timbre, the same resonant quality, the same size and shape and color of the sound, now I'm getting very, very close. And when I do that with a horn, now I'm adapting myself to the way this particular horn wants to vibrate. I've been going back and forth between my different horns today, so I'm going to try it on D trumpet and see if it's easier. It might be easier. Now I'm fighting the horn a little bit, so I'm going to go back to that spot that I was just practicing. Now that's making me crazy because I hear, oh wow, that D is pretty flat, which it typically is on most trumpets, and as the horns get higher, they get smaller, generally that pitch area is more problematic. So I'm looking for that continuous sound flow all the way through. I'm a little bit tight on the D trumpet, need more practice on it. So I'm going to go back to my C. Now just do a little bit more work on this, but now I'm going to change the key. And he gives you at least 2 keys on all these exercises, but obviously that opens the door to play it in whatever key you want. Transpose it using your sight transposition skills. In other words, however whether you read by clef or you're reading by interval, you're transposing it to trumpet in F or E flat or whatever. Or what I like to do more is I'm practicing it with my ear. So now that I have the pattern, I'm just translating that into a different key, same interval relationships. So I'm going to try a little bit of the next one just to see what's different about it. This is the second version of number 11. Little breath. So there's a lot to practice in there. Now, I need to practice. You probably do too. So I'll just mention one more thing to you and then let you go do that. In the last line, you have some C sharps. So if you're playing with perfect sound production, so you get that free resonance that I talked about earlier, everything is balanced and it's agreeing with itself. Then when you use the C sharp in this particular passage, you can put the slide exactly where it belongs, and you need to find where that is on your horn and leave it there. So you don't need to be going da da dee da dee da da. Not in this case, because the C sharp is the only note with the third that uses the third valve in the last line of this. So this is a little slide strategy. Some of you are very familiar with this, but it's always helpful to be thoughtful to try and make things easier for yourself in whatever way. This is just one example. So I'm playing that C sharp. I'm not compensating for it all the time. I'm not hearing it as an out of tune note. So it's starting to feel more open and smooth and balanced all the way through. So now, even though I'm playing notes that are going fairly rapidly and doing somewhat awkward fingerings, with the C sharp, and playing in a less comfortable register for me, since I spent my youth primarily trying to force myself to play into the upper register. So this needs a little work. Everything is starting to work better now, and now I can start to get into repetition. Stop, and then repeat again, and see if you can nail it. You don't have to play the whole etude all the way through, or just keep pounding away at it. I said one more thing, but I'll tell you one more, and those of you who are watching noticed it. I played until I was out of breath, and then I took a breath. I'm always looking at the quality of my breath when I go to make the transition. Am I tight? Or is that transition very easy, or is it locked? To me, physically, that's one of the most important things about playing trumpet. But that's for you to observe in your own playing. So go do that now, and see if you can find some useful things to focus on and put them in your practice log and bring them into your daily work, and you're going to see yourself make progress. Have fun with it. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.